Red tide has lingered longer this season than expected, and it's not just screwing up your day at the beach. It's having a real impact on fishermen, both commercial and those who do it for fun. ABC 7's Ray Collins goes on the water with people who rely on fishing to make a living.
For many commercial fishermen, they can go farther off the coast and avoid red tide. But for charter captains along Sarasota Bay, it can take money out of their pocket.
It's been probably, I would say 10 or 12 years ago. We had a really bad one in the summertime, so it affected the entire bay. And at that point, there's nowhere for me to go to fish.
Captain Roy String has been guiding tours around the Suncoast for over 25 years. And he says usually when there's a red tide outbreak, it's spotty in nature, and he can just change where he takes clients on that particular day.
So if there's a little patch on the west side of the bay, we just go to the east side. So we just work around the little patches that are in the bay right now.
We know the result of red tide: coughing, respiratory issues, and dead fish. But what exactly is it?
So red tide, or what we call our Florida red tide, is a phenomenon called a harmful algal bloom. That's another name for it. It's caused by a dinoflagellate, little photosynthetic microorganism called Karenia brevis.
Mote Marine staff scientist Vincent Loveco says they track red tide up in the air through satellites, underwater through different gadgets, and also the old-fashioned way.
As part of the Florida Department of Health Healthy Beaches program, Sarasota County collects samples at 16 stations weekly. So every Monday we get samples from them, and those are extremely helpful. And that kind of gives us a week-by-week idea of what the bloom is doing, at least right along the coast.
It kills some of the bait fish, and it just moves the game fish around.
Another fishing captain, Jim Klopfer, says sometimes the red tide isn't that bad, but just a few dead fish on the shore will chase away potential customers.
It's more about the perception. I mean, if the word gets out everywhere that it's bad, it's a little bit like the oil spill. That affected us not at all, but they hear it and they see it, and then we get a lot of questions about it. Unless it's really bad, it doesn't really affect the fishing that much. It affects where you fish. It moves you around, but there's still something to be caught somewhere.
On Sarasota Bay, Ray Collins, ABC 7, your Suncoast News.